Raiders. Oh goodness, we got Gruden here. So what are the Raiders going to do? Are they going to pick the best player? Or are they going to go off the charts? They're going to go off the charts, I think, and they're going to go with Clelin, Ferrell.
And welcome to another edition of Buffalo Bills pregame show. It's the 2019 draft recap, and the one and biggest headline from the draft is Jared got it right.
Yes. I got the Cleveland Ferrell pick right. I'm actually really excited about it because nobody called it. Nobody thought that he was going to go to the Raiders 4th overall, and I think that ultimately led to what we ended up getting. It freed up a really good player to fall down into the draft.
A really good player fell down in the draft. We, in the first round, drafted Ed Oliver. What reaction?
It's a pretty good reaction. He was the 4th overall prospect in the draft on my list. So he essentially was somebody who could have gotten drafted in the top 5 that went down to 9. So ultimately it was a steal. He had a pretty decent career in college, and his playing ability really does remind you of Kyle Williams. He's bigger and heavier than Kyle Williams was. Like Kyle Williams was 6 foot, about 300.
Yeah, he's like a bulldog though.
Right, exactly. So, so the height is a little higher. So, but I mean, if you watch the film though, if you really watch the film of Ed Oliver, it looks so much similar that like I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm not super excited about it because it's not like a blockbuster need position. It's just kind of a D tackle. And I wasn't a huge fan of the competition he played against at Houston, and they lost some games like pretty heavily, but that's not really on your D tackle either. So we'll see what happens. Overall, I really do like it, though. I don't sound excited about it, but I really am.
And he doesn't seem disappointed to have dropped to 9th and come to Buffalo whatsoever.
No.
Cody Ford, we picked up from Oklahoma in the 2nd round.
What's good about him is that he's actually a right tackle / guard combo, so he could actually play either position, which I think is good. At the time during the draft, I was not a fan of the fact that we traded up 2 spots for him to give up a 5th, because it just seemed like we could wait.
It's such a Bills thing to do.
Yeah, but it was weird what was happening. Like other teams were trading up for Jawaan Taylor and then Greg Little, and you're like, oh my God, like we got to get. Even I was sitting there like, we might need to do something here. And then we did something, and I'm like, yeah, something, just not the 5th rounder. Do 6 or 7 to move up 2 spots, But overall, I'm very happy with this pick. This was also the 3rd best tackle on my board. He was projected to go in the 1st round. So I think he's an instant starter, and that's
in the
that's
second
what
round.
you need.
Yeah, in the 2nd round, you're happy to get that.
Yeah.
In the 3rd round, we pick up Devin Singletary because we had a huge lacking need at running back from Florida Atlantic.
Yeah. His situation is very interesting because he's 5'7", he's 200, so he's a small running back. I really think the Bills wanted to get David Montgomery, but they ended up getting Singletary right after. He was the 4th best running back on my board. And the reason I'm a little surprised we drafted him this early, kind of like you were just implying there. It's like, why are we going running back this early?
I have a point, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. And my thought is the only problem with him, though, if you look at his numbers, they're really good. But my only problem with him is that he runs like a 4.6 40. So you're kind of thinking he might be more of like a shorter version of Mike Alstott, I mean, so it's going to be interesting to see how they use him. But like, he was very durable. I'm not even sure he missed any games. He went to a smaller school though, so there's something else to factor in there though. But he had a pretty good career.
They drafted him in the 3rd round, so he's going to be on the team. It's not like he's going to be put on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Like, I hope he can tackle. Like, I hope he can play special teams because, I mean...
That's probably going to look funny with his height.
Unless LaShawn gets traded, he's not going to be seeing the field much outside of special teams, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, because I've always been like, let's get that future running back. But it just doesn't seem like this is the guy to get, So we'll just have to see what happens in training camp, I mean, when you actually have all these dudes on the field at the same time.
Again, back in the 3rd round, we picked up from Ole Miss, tight end Dawson Knox.
Yeah, Dawson Knox. Once again, the Bills trade away both their 4th rounders to move up to get Dawson Knox. He was the 5th best tight end on my board, though. So, I mean, once again, we're hitting top 10 players. But here's the thing, guys. At this point, now the Bills have failed to do this over the years. But at this point, every player we hit should be a top 10 on the boards. Because, like, if you take every player, you do by 10, that's 200 players. So you really should be hitting on these players, hypothetically. He didn't score any touchdowns in college. He only has 39 catches to his career. However, all his intangibles are generally good. He looks like a tight end.
Like, what's that, Gronk?
Yeah, no, I'm dead serious. Like, he does, like, you see him and you're like, okay, I get it. And the thing is, like, I think he's still raw talent. I think he was underdeveloped at passing and blocking. But what really got him noticed was his Gronk abilities, his run after catch abilities. Like, if he got the ball, I want to say his yards after catch was like 8 yards or something like that. Like, it's like he doesn't just catch it and drop. Like, he goes. And I think
not to the end zone.
Yeah, just not to the end zone. So I think that's what's interesting. I think we have a decent tight end competition going into camp. And yeah, I really have no issue with this pick, honestly. He had a finance degree too.
Nice. Quick thoughts for the next 4.
Yeah.
Vosean Joseph, linebacker out of Florida.
Yeah, now this is a guy I'm very high on. He was the 4th linebacker on my board. If you look at him, he really does look like, to me at least, a 1st-round pick, 2nd-round pick. He looks the part. And we have a 5th-round starter on the team in Matt Milano already. We have Lorenzo Alexander aging out. So, yes, was linebacker needed in this draft? No. But I think this is a potential need. Like, I guarantee this guy gets in the starting role at some point this season, either replacing one of the guys we already have or somebody gets hurt.
What else did we not need this year? A safety. So we went to Jaquan Johnson out of Miami.
Yeah, the thing about him, though, is that he's another player. If you look at his tape, he looks really good. And this was a situation where I kind of had to look up and see, like, okay, why did he drop? Like, he was supposed to be a 5th-round value, too. And I'm like, okay, why did he drop? And his issue was 40 time. That was his primary issue. He ran a 4.69 40. And it was like, okay, that's it. Like, other than that, you look good. He had like 3 forced fumbles and 4 interceptions. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Did we need a safety? No. Did we need more corner help? Yeah.
Out of North Carolina, another linebacker, Darryl Johnson. North Carolina A&T, excuse me.
Yeah, this one's an interesting one because when I first saw it, I'm like, linebacker again, really? But then you look at his stats, and it's like 116 tackles, 19 and a half sacks, 10 and a half of them were this past year. And you think, okay, what's the problem with this guy? Because this guy was not even supposed to be drafted. Like, experts predicted him not to even get drafted.
It looks like he was going to a junior college.
Well, you figured it out. Yeah. It's because of where he went to school. The competition there wasn't that good. But he stood out amongst it. But the other problem he has, besides the competition, is like, and this is not good, is he has a tendency to get blocked fairly easily by whoever's doing it. So, so that's something too. So I don't see him starting. I see special teams, but I am curious to see what this guy could do. You know, you never know.
Can we call him Moose?
You can call him Moose.
All right.
I'm not going to do it.
Tommy Sweeney out of Boston College, which is like the most Boston-sounding name.
Yeah.
It's like right out of a book, Dickens-esque.
Yeah, you know, I think this was a steal too. He was projected 6th round. I'll explain why in a second. He had nearly 100 catches. He's known for having good hands, and he has that nice tight end look to him. He looks a little slower. He kind of reminds me of Jack Nicklaus's grandson that we had. He had a 4.8 340 at the combine, and honestly, like all these combine scores put these good players, like they really shot them down on the draft board. So,
interesting.
So I look forward to seeing what this guy does.
Slow grass out there in Indianapolis this year, or slow turf.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, taking a step back from the meat of the draft, looking over the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't pick up a wide receiver. It seemed like the one thing that everyone agreed that we had a need at was wide receiver.
Okay.
So do you think the fact that we didn't get one is a sign that the Bills are like, they were never in a position where like it would be a reach? Like there was never a good spot to grab a wide receiver like at there, so they didn't reach and grab one? Is that like a sign of maturity in the drafting process? Or they're clearly willing to trade assets around to move up to get other players? Like, what do you think Like, do you think this is a sign of good management or just like wild underappreciation for the way you get talent into your organization, especially wide receiver? Apparently,
I think at the late parts of the draft, where I know Stevie Johnson started for the Bills, but are we really going to realistically get a number 1 receiver late, 6th round, 2nd round?
No.
More than likely not. And truthfully, like all the picks that were being picked at the beginning of the draft, none of them wowed me really. You know, I thought the best receiver in the draft was DK Metcalf. He went late 2nd round to the Seahawks. Like that was actually who I thought we were trading up for when we picked Ford. So to answer your question, I think it's more the former of what you were saying. I think they just realized that, you know what, we're not going to get our number 1 in this draft, realistically. So I think as opposed to adding another number 2 with the pressures of being a number 1, or like let's just stay out of it. I think that was their mindset. I think they followed their board and got the best players they could based on their board.
Well, we're running long, but grade the draft.
Okay, I'm going to give it an A-, believe it or not. I thought, I said at the very beginning of all this, I don't know if I said it here, but I really had almost no problem with anything the Bills did in this draft. I said, I'm like, they're not going to screw this up. We have needs in every single position except quarterback, so I have no problem with them drafting really anything anywhere. The only thing I do have a problem with, ironically, did not happen in the draft. It happened after the draft, them picking up Tyree Jackson out of Buffalo, because I don't want anything to screw up Josh Allen's development. Now, maybe it doesn't appear that it's going to. I think everyone's like, oh, maybe he'll be the backup. But we don't need a rookie quarterback to be the backup to Allen. We don't need somebody with less experience to be Josh Allen's backup.
He has a similar skill set. Like, I feel like if in a year or two, if Allen goes down, that you wouldn't have to change up the offense a whole lot, you know, for Tyree to come in. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they have a similar skill set, and that if they can develop together, that it might be a feasible backup. You know, if whatever veteran that we have to plug in like the backup role going down the road, you're probably gonna have to not be able to run the same offense that you've been running. I'm gonna give us a solid B. I have no problem with any of the picks, but we did not address wide receiver, and we're still giving up assets to trade up, which are not like something that Super Bowl winning teams do not do.
Yeah.
And it's goofy. Like I don't know what philosophy that they're reading into that says like this is what successful teams do, because if you look at them, look at it, it's not what happens. So I have no problem with any of the picks. I'm happy with them all, but like we're just philosophically have some disagreements with Brandon Bean.
Yeah, I agree.
And sorry we went long. A lot to cover here, and we're excited about the new Bills season.
Yeah.
And we're trying to decide which games we're going to right now. So hopefully we'll see y'all at the stadiums around the country. And until season preview, we'll be back. Did I ever tell you that I'm related to Herbert Hoover?
No. How?
I don't know.